Hey, this is Angela with this week's Living the Shift. We have talked many times in these webcasts about boxes, about what those boxes are and how these egoic boxes limit us in many ways. And those are expectations of certain sorts. Well, there's a different kind of box that's really important, and yet it's become to release, and it's really, really a latent habit that we many times don't even see. And it's come to my attention over and over again over the past several weeks, and I've known I needed to do this webcast because it just keeps on coming back like, yeah, it's time to talk about this. Because many of us aren't even conscious of the fact that we hold boxes, and we can walk around saying, oh yes, release the boxes. Deepak Chopra has this quote about, instead of being outside of the box, release the boxes altogether. And that's what I say I say that all the time. And what I mean by boxes are literally separation, ways we separate, ways we categorize. And when we categorize, when the mind categorizes, that's the ego separating again into another group, another faction, another something that can be or not be. So this people can be in this group or out of it, or a category can be, whatever can be in this group or out of it. And what we're doing is we're resolving this duality, resolving the illusion of separateness. And in doing so, it's really, really important to release those constructs, those boxes in our minds and in our words. And the sooner we do that, the faster things will move along. So you might ask, well, what do you mean? I don't have boxes. You know what? It's rampant everywhere. It's just a habit. We've done it for so long. Even in the spiritual world, I see people we're trying to release the boxes, and then many bring up, they create new categories. Oh, well, you would be this if you have these symptoms, or you would have this if you had these kind of characteristics, and that includes indigo children, rainbow children, crystal children, this and that and everything else. Why are we creating more categories? All of us are the same. All of us are the divine. It goes back to the fact that if we and when we start creating boxes, we imply that there's something inside of that box and something outside of that box. Duality. The basics of duality. A me and a not me. So I've just had this conscious push of noticing how many around me are constantly saying things like, oh, well, this person is so and so. This person is one of those, or these people are like this. And it's wow. And you want to say it's not prejudice, because many don't even recognize it as prejudice, but it really is. It's a way of separating ourselves. Even others who say, oh, well, Americans, they're just clueless and whatever. It's the same kind of thing in all directions. We are all the same. We are all different faces of the same entity, the same divine oneness of which we're all a part. And all we've done in packaging ourselves right now in different ways is so we could complete the lessons we came here to complete. So we should applaud that. We should celebrate that instead of trying to push it away from us. Because many times we say, well, that's that kind of person. And, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, oh, I know you don't prescribe to this, but this woman was like this, and, those kind of people do this. And I was like, here it comes again. And, every time. So it doesn't have to be even prejudice. It doesn't have to be saying anything about blacks or Asians or whatever, Indonesians or Koreans. I mean, right now we have so much like this, like so many things in the news about who's, has friction against who, men versus women, was it the 1%, the 99%? All of this is creating more separation. And it's time for us to say, you know what? We're all part of the same family. We're all part of the same oneness. We're all part of the same thing, the divine oneness of this universe. That's what we all are. So it's time for us to, number one, start treating each other that way. Treating ourselves that way, and that's funny, because it's funny. Treating each other is a big thing, right? Giving someone the love. And I've had many come back to me and say, how could you even imagine that we could ever live without all of these rules, without all of these laws and stuff? How would it prevent anybody from killing each other? I said, well, actually, once we take down all of the boxes, when we release the boxes and we actually acknowledge that we are all connected, number one. And number two, that we are all the divine and infinitely limitless. Limitless and perfect and beautiful, and that the only true reality in this universe is unconditional love. All the rest has been illusion. When we can start to live that again, then what is it that's going to prompt me to do anything but love you? Do anything but do what's the best for you, because I'm number one now. I'm happy with me. I become happy where I am. I become happy. I am happy in the place of being the divine and being beautiful and amazing and perfect. And I honor that you are too. That's what the word namaste means, actually. And I don't know if many people don't understand that one either, because you see namaste a lot in yoga, and you see a lot of people say namaste to each other in the spiritual world. And what it really means is the divine in me bows to the divine in you. I honor you as divine and limitless as I am divine and limitless. And when we get there and we can release the boxes and stop pretending that we're different, stop pretending that our semantics, our day-to-day lives, what we choose for the lessons that we're having in this life, are any, when we stop pretending that they're real, anything real, and we realize that at the core, all we are is love, and we're all part of the same divine oneness, what motivation will we have to do anything but honor and love each other? Many, many steps to that. And I could talk about this for a while, because we don't even realize that we say, oh, teenagers do this. I even do this. I'm a mother of two teenagers. Oh, teenagers do this, and older people do this, and so-and-so people do this, and so-and-so people do this. And then we start to categorize, start to rationalize. That's what the egoic mind strives to do. That's what its job's been. And as it still functions here to complete the lessons, yes, as long as we don't fall slave to it, which is really sort of what we've done, is we have let it rule us, the perception of those boxes and separation. When we step back and look at it from the higher picture and say, okay, I know you have a different set of lessons that you're learning in this life than I am. Okay, and I honor that and celebrate it. And I love you unconditionally. I don't care what your lessons are. And I've had so many discussions and debates and whatever, but really that's what it comes down to. And we don't even realize what we categorize. Oh, teachers do this, and students do this, and high schoolers do this, and teenagers do this, and so-and-so does this, and so-and-so doesn't do that, and these kind of people do this, and these kind of people do that. We say that all the time. And as I've become more and more conscious of that in the past several weeks, and realize almost every conversation has some sort of box put in it. Well, you would expect that. Whenever we say expect, that means we have a box around something. You would expect this. Of course this would happen because of this kind of situation. Expectations. What if we simply changed it all and released them all, and just started from the basic assumption that you are amazing, that I'm amazing, that we are all infinitely limitless. And I've talked about this many times and said, it's not that none of us is special, it's that all of us are amazing and divine. All of us are beautiful, and all of us are love. This is probably the most, gushy, wishy kind of thing podcast that I've had. But it's true, and this gets down to the real core of it. And the more, but yet the funny part is, the more we progress on this path, the more we're becoming sort of bipolar as we are at the verge of resolving duality, because it's this pole of, oh no, we need to have the separation. We created it. And if we live in the simplicity of our love, and without boxes, and with that expectation, that understanding that you and I are the same divine being, why would we want anything different? And yes, we can still do it. We can still do it and have fun and challenges and everything else. But it's time for us to come together. We've gone so separate. We look apathetically at those who aren't in our day-to-day lives. We even people who are in our day-to-day lives, we look at apathetically. And I'm not saying that we need to jump in and help everybody and whatever, but it's important for us to open our hearts in love, and expect the best of everyone. I mean, even they've done psychological studies and that imply that, not even imply that, show that when you start out expecting the best in someone, they tend to perform or do things at a much higher level than if you expect them to be terrible. Like when people walk through, it's funny. Here's an example. So I walk from that perspective. I walk from the perspective of saying, okay, we're all the divine. So everything here is a reflection of me, because we're all me. I'm all you. I'm you and all of us around us. So I live in love. I live in this high vibration. And I attract only that in that high vibration. I have walked through terrible, like what people would consider terrible drug infested or like crime infested neighborhoods at night, and never had a problem. Never had a problem. In fact, had great interactions with people or whatever. I have been, like, even what's funny is last year my husband and I went to Mexico, and we walked through some neighborhoods that were very, decrepit looking kind of thing. But you know what? Had the best experiences there. We came back and be like, oh my God, did you walk, did you stay away from those neighborhoods? I'm like, no, nope. In fact, some of the best places to eat were in those neighborhoods, and the food was excellent. So, and the people were too, and very friendly. And here's the thing: when you expect the best from everyone, and you put out that love, and you open your heart versus close it in, that's the next step. It's like when we allow ourselves to connect heart to heart, it becomes a whole lot easier to expect the best, and it becomes a whole lot easier to have the best happen in the most graceful and easy way around us. And the first step is really releasing the boxes, releasing these constructs of when we categorize, like how when we look at a certain person, how we might categorize them by the way they look, by the situation they're in, by the clothes they're wearing, by the house they live in, by what they're going through in their personal life. It's time for us to turn that switch off and to stop judging, because judging has to do with duality and implying that that we've actually not ever gone through that. And if you look at the perception of the multiple lives and how we've gone through many, many of them, and my understanding is we've gone through all of them, all of the lessons. So in truth, we are looking at ourselves. If we're looking at some decrepit person that is really hitting the skids and they've really, really screwed things up in their lives, compassion is the understanding that, you know what? Been there, done that. Even if you haven't been there, done that in this lifetime, you have in some other lifetime. And it's being reflected back to you to see that. That's another level of understanding. But it's all the same. It's all a play. We're all the same. So the next step is to start releasing these constructs, these categorizations, these generalizations and rationalizations by saying, well, I would do this to this kind of person because of that. I don't care if it's politicians or doctors or those, like we talk about the elite and was it the Illuminati and the elite that are controlling the governments and all kind of stuff. And we start pretending that they're different from us, even other, star beings and things like that. We talk about that. We're all the same. So the homework for this week is to go and realize and just catch yourself in your thoughts, in your words, when you start categorizing those kind of people. Or, God, I hate that person because of this. Or I don't like that person because of this. Or this person makes me uncomfortable because of this. Because the next step, once you realize that we are all the same and we are all the divine, and this truly is an illusion and these plays that we've constructed that sort of just make different versions of ourselves, next is to say, well, why is this person in my reality? And why is this coming up? Because there's something to be reflected back to me and to look in the mirror about. That's a discussion for another day. So on that, I'm going to let you go. This is Angela with this week's Living the Shift.